Now, Aries is the primary first-ray sign, at this time especially, and Uranus has a first-ray monad, meaning the spirit aspect of Uranus expresses the first ray. So you have a tremendously first-ray combination there in the Sun-Uranus conjunction with Uranus as the in its own hierarchical sign, expressing a powerful archetypal first ray. In a way, it is the ray of the enunciator. It's also the ray of the destroyer. There are two aspects to this first ray of will and power. One is destruction, one is enunciation, which means proclaiming a new idea. Now, that's what we're trying to do. 80 years ago, when the Tibetan was writing this book, he was proclaiming a great new idea of which humanity had little conception at the time. And what we're going to try to do is to present some of his thoughts and interpret them in ways that we hopefully can understand. I think if we understand 5% of this book, we'll be doing very well. So profound is the Tibetan's understanding of esoteric astrology. But okay, so we're emerging from the sea of the unconscious and we're proclaiming a new archetype, and that archetype is the archetype of esoteric astrology. The degree of the sun, a cameo profile of a man in the outline of his country. Cameo profile in the of a man in the outline of his country. And so we are going to identify ourselves as a group with a larger whole, and we are going to see our own oneness with the outlines of this larger whole. In this case, the larger whole is the spiritual hierarchy of the planet and the ageless wisdom as a whole. There's a great ideal here. And of course, the 9th house, which is normally connected with Sagittarius, is very connected with the ideal vision. We're going to try to achieve an ideal archetypal vision and get a sense of our identification with the larger whole. We will identify ourselves with the larger whole of the ageless wisdom, which we are attempting to study together. The symbol for Jupiter, let's see what it says. A serpent coiling near a man and a woman. These are the Sabian symbols. They were derived by Mark Edmund Jones and a psychic by the name of, was it Elsie Wheeler? It was in Balboa Park in San Diego a long time ago, maybe almost 100 years ago. And Mark Jones felt he had tapped into a treasure trove of Chaldean knowledge. Because one day we're going to discover that each sign of the zodiac has 30 degrees, of course, and each degree is unique and has its own character. So in the symbols for these degrees, somehow these two people were able to arrive at some significant symbols. Many people have found them significant. Maybe they're not perfect, but they can give a good idea of some deeper archetypal reality to every degree. So, okay, a serpent is coiling near a man or woman, and of course it reminds us of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. But the deeper idea here is the serpent wisdom. The serpent is the initiate, so it's the serpent here is the knowledge of the initiates, and we have perhaps a chance to use Jupiter and Aries to expand our mind into the knowledge of the initiates. This is, I think we're in the Virgo Dwad. Let's see, yeah, Virgo, no. We're in the Libra Dwad of Jupiter in Aries, trying to create a balanced point of view, a mind that has equilibrium in it, can expand in a balanced manner. We have a Jupiter-Mercury conjunction very definitely, and that certainly does expand the mind. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and Mercury is the planet of illumination and mentation. So Jupiter and Mercury will expand the mind, and lead us into a widening horizon of new thought. Perhaps it will take us to the Buddhic plane or the plane of intuition occasionally, from the abstract mind to the plane of intuition. And both Jupiter and Mercury are related to the Buddhic plane. Neptune is as well. Those three planets, Mercury, Jupiter, and Neptune, are all related to the plane of intuition, the Buddhic plane, the fourth plane, the plane of pure reason. Let me try something here. As you see, I have a little map, and this is the map of the constitution of man, the egoic lotus on the centers, and you see this is the fourth plane that we are talking about here, the fourth plane. And it is here that Jupiter, Mercury, and Neptune rule. Okay. Now I have to find my way back. Okay. Now, what is the symbol for Mercury in this ninth house of higher mind and philosophy? A gate to the garden of desire. Well, I suppose this can be interpreted in a higher and a lower sense. It is certainly our great aspiration to learn more and more about esoteric astrology. Master DK calls astrology the greatest and the oldest of all the sciences. It is, of course, older than the planet. It is part of the archetypal knowledge of the universe itself. And so that is our aspiration, and perhaps we can enter through this gate, following our aspiration, leading to intuition. And we have the planetoid or planet, we haven't established yet exactly what it is, Eris, exactly in the same degree. So we will have an assertive mentality here. We will have a questing mentality that is willing to fight against illusion. Of course, we can hardly be successful at that entirely because, you know, until the ninth initiation, we are not free of illusion. And I'm sure that's just the illusions of the cosmic physical plane. You know, this whole thing here is the cosmic physical plane, and we may be free of the illusions of the cosmic physical plane, but will we be free of still greater illusions? Well, so it's a losing battle in a way, but we will be less and less deluded. And that's good. Okay, our midheaven is still in Aries, indicating that it is a pioneering process. The esoteric ruler of the midheaven is Mercury, and the hierarchical ruler is Uranus, so they're all together. Let's see what the degree is here, what it says. Sabian symbols. A celestial choir singing. A celestial choir singing. Well, we want to hear the higher harmonies. We want to hear the harmony of the divine archetypes. We want to attune our ear to the great wisdom of the divine purpose, the fixed design of our solar God. So it's not only a musical indication, but of course we are interested in the harmony of the spheres, just the way Kepler was. We're deeply interested in understanding the harmony of the whole, and so listening to a celestial choir sing, if that influence reaches us, that's all very good. Now, you know, what I'm doing here is I'm sounding out potentials of our opening chart. It doesn't mean we will fulfill all these potentials. And of course, I'm sure there are some challenges here as well. Maybe the rising sign is the most important thing in the entire chart, and it's in the Libran Dwad of Leo. It's in the first part of Leo, which is ruled by the planet Mars, according to the Tibetan. So we have the first decanate of Aries ruled by Jupiter, and the first decanate of Leo ruled by Mars. And Leo and Libra is the Dwad here. So this theme of balance is repeated. I was very interested In fact, it's a little bit contrived here. I chose this degree rising because of its wonderful symbol, which will be most meaningful to us. That is, the symbol is the constellations in the sky. The constellations in the sky. Well, the lords of these great constellations are mighty beings who are all within the heart, in the head center of the great supercosmic logos that we call the one about whom naught may be said. Apparently, we can't say too much about this great being. Anyway, these constellational lords are all in the crown center of this great being, and they feed us with their energy, and we grow accordingly by absorbing and applying correctly the energy that they give us. So when this particular degree said the constellations in the sky, I thought, well, yes, this is exactly our study. For how many years will we keep going? 5 years? Can we do it in 5 years? I don't know. We'll have to see how often I can talk to you about these things and how much you want to listen. So Leo has a tremendous connection with self-knowledge. Why do we study esoteric astrology anyway? We have 3 different layers of the self. We have our ordinary personal ego self, lower ego. We're all familiar with that and have been for millions of years of incarnational experience. We also have the higher self, or the soul self, the higher ego with a capital E, and this is our ego on the higher mental plane. If I were to go to our little map here again, this flower of red, green, and blue is the egoic lotus, and that's the second level of self to which Leo applies. And that is the I that is we, the I am that. So that's where we begin to realize our unity with all other forms of life, and especially at this point with all human beings. And that is what we're working on now, which is soul consciousness and soul infusion. We want to have the sun in our heart. We want to have the egoic lotus pouring through our personality makeup. That's our next objective. But there is still a higher objective as well, and that is the third level of selfhood to which Leo can relate, and that is the I am that I am. I am that, and that am I. And that is the spirit self. That is the one. So we have the I, the we, and the one. And all of these will be important to us. But of course, in this study, we're more interested in the first 2, the personal self and its relation to the unitive self on the higher mental plane. Let's see what we can do with Leo, avoiding the rocks of pride and self-centeredness and limited vision due to overabsorption, all those lesser things. Perhaps the constellations in the sky will keep our attention on those greater subjects. Well, I waited. I didn't really want to start a class with the moon in late Scorpio. I think Friedrich Nietzsche had about 29 degrees of Scorpio as his ascendant sign, and you know what he said, God is dead. I think only someone with late Scorpio rising could say that. And I didn't think that would be a great idea because, we're getting into psychology, but hopefully we're not getting into the torture and pain of our inner psyche, trying to see it from a bigger point of view. So I waited for Sagittarius, a spontaneous moon in Sagittarius. Well, the moon is also the prison of the soul, esoterically speaking, and there's all kinds of hasty action, which is possible in Sagittarius, and ill-coordinated action and sudden spontaneous impulsive action, which is maybe a little bit what this webinar is. But the reason I chose this is because I'm going to be somehow very spontaneous with you.